The silence was deafening, and that's exactly how Britain wanted it. When Prince Harry stepped back onto UK soil, there were no cheering crowds, no flashing press bulbs, and not a single familiar face to welcome him. For a man who once captured the nation's heart, the cold reception wasn't just awkward, it was devastating. This wasn't just a visit, it was a reality check. And for Harry, it confirmed what's been building for months. The UK has not just closed the door, it's bolted it shut. Prince Harry wasn't just a royal, he was the royal, the golden boy of Buckingham Palace. The soldier prince who served his country, made the monarchy feel relatable, and carried the sparkle of Diana's legacy in every grin. He had the kind of charm cameras couldn't resist, and a rebellious streak the public adored. Harry wasn't just tolerated by the British people, he was cherished, loved for his authenticity, praised for his vulnerability, and watched with a rare mix of admiration and affection. But today, that fairy tale image feels like a distant memory. The same prince who once drew crowds by the thousands was met this week with a sound far louder than applause. It was plain silence. No royal procession, no waving flags, not even the usual clamor from photographers. It was as if the nation had collectively decided to look away, and in doing so, sent a message louder than any headline: Prince Harry is no longer welcome. Before Harry even landed, reports claimed he came equipped with a list, not of places to visit or people to see, but of demands. Full security for himself and his family, a press strategy coordinated by Buckingham Palace, and a level of control that made some insiders raise eyebrows. For someone who walked away from his royal duties, it read more like the wish list of a man who still expected the privileges without the responsibility. While it's true Harry receives government protection on official visits, provided he gives proper notice, there's a difference between protection and pampering. And this wasn't a king coming home. It was a private citizen arriving with royal expectations. The irony? The louder his camp pushes for red carpet treatment, the more the palace recoils. Britain runs on rules, rank, and centuries of tradition. And no list of preferences, no matter how long or well-prepared, is going to bend those rules for someone who chose to walk away. In a country rooted in decorum, Harry's demands didn't just sound tone-deaf, they sounded delusional. When Prince Harry touched down on British soil, there were no cheering crowds, no sympathetic well-wishers waving Union Jacks, and most notably, no family. Not a single royal aide at the gates. Not a single familiar face from behind palace walls. The press, once eager to capture his every smile or scandal, barely turned up. And the public, they simply went about their day. It wasn't just quiet, it was calculated. A silence so loud, it echoed. For a man who once couldn't walk through London without flashing bulbs and excited fans, the stillness felt brutal. This wasn't an unfortunate scheduling oversight or a miscommunication with the palace. It was the royal version of a cold shoulder, chillier than the British weather, and twice as humiliating. Insiders say there was no plan, no arrangement, no intention to meet him halfway. No security convoy, no warm embrace, just the stark reminder that in the eyes of many, Harry's return isn't an event, it's a nuisance. And that kind of rejection doesn't come with words. It comes with absence. The royal family may have chosen silence, but the British public, they've had plenty to say. And none of it is flattering. Once celebrated as the people's prince, Harry is now the headline they roll their eyes at. Tabloids that once fought for exclusive photos now take pleasure in tearing him down, calling him irrelevant, out of touch, and painfully desperate. Royal commentators go even further, labeling him opportunistic, bitter, and self-obsessed. The sentiment is no longer split. There's no polite debate. Harry hasn't just burned bridges. He's torched the entire island of goodwill he once stood on. Public opinion has shifted so dramatically. It's almost cinematic. The same people who wept for him at Diana's funeral and cheered for him during his military service now openly mock him, meme him, and beg the media to stop giving him airtime. In cafes, on talk shows, across social media, one message is clear: they're over it. Over him. Over the drama. A prince who once made Brits beam with pride now makes them cringe with secondhand embarrassment. And if there's one thing the UK doesn't tolerate for long, it's a royal who trades loyalty for limelight. Perhaps the most tragic part of all this is that Harry still seems to believe there's a seat waiting for him at the royal table. That if he flies in, flashes a smile, and reminds the public of who he used to be, the nation will suddenly forget the bombshell interviews, the bitter accusations, and the years spent airing royal secrets for profit. But Britain remembers, and in a monarchy built on protocol, poise, and quiet resilience, Harry's tell-all tendencies don't fit. He may still carry the title, but he no longer embodies the role. The institution doesn't operate on emotion, it moves on structure. Harry left that structure behind, hoping he could redefine royalty on his terms. But royalty isn't a lifestyle brand, it's a commitment. And walking away forfeits more than a security detail. It forfeits legacy. This isn't personal, it's constitutional. And that's what Harry still doesn't seem to grasp. You can't slam the door on royal tradition and expect it to swing open the next time you knock. Not when the crown has already moved forward without you. Not when your presence feels more like a PR dilemma than a family reunion. He left to find freedom, and now he's free, just not in the way he imagined. If Harry was hoping for a quiet word with the king or a surprise heart-to-heart with his brother, he was sorely mistaken. Within palace walls, sources say the sentiment isn't just disinterest, it's fatigue. King Charles is reportedly consumed with the future of the monarchy, focusing on stability, image, and duty. William, once Harry's closest ally, is laser-focused on the crown he's set to inherit. And when it comes to Harry's return, no one is clearing their calendar. The days of healing chats and warm reunions are long gone. Behind the scenes, insiders say there's no talk of mediation, no appetite for forgiveness, and certainly no rush to mend ties. One source summed it up coldly: there's nothing to fix, he made his choice. That kind of finality says more than any official statement ever could. This isn't about sibling rivalry anymore. It's about sovereignty, trust, and damage control. Harry is no longer viewed as the wounded brother. They see him as a wild card, a risk, a headline waiting to happen. And in a family that survives by keeping problems behind palace doors, his off-script presence isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. The truth is, no one inside wants to manage the emotional cost of bringing him back. Not now. Maybe not ever. At some point, the heartbreak turned into branding. When Harry left the royal family, many assumed it was a bid for privacy, healing, and purpose. But what followed looked less like quiet reflection and more like a media empire being built, one exclusive interview, one docuseries, one memoir at a time. Netflix deals, podcast specials, trauma tell-alls, all delivered under the soft glow lighting of California calm, with cameras rolling and brand consultants nearby. The problem isn't that Harry told his story. It's that he sold it, over and over again. And while the royal family stuck to their time-tested motto, never complain, never explain, Harry turned pain into content. For a public already skeptical of celebrity culture, it felt like betrayal wrapped in a business model. The very institution he accused of silencing him became the source of his income. He didn't break away to escape the spotlight. He broke away to move it with him. And now, every appearance, every comment feels calculated. He's no longer seen as a man healing from his past, but a brand exploiting it. That shift, from royal son to Hollywood storyteller, has cost him something far greater than press approval. It's cost him credibility. There was a time when Prince Harry's name sparked admiration. Now, it barely sparks anything at all except a long, collective sigh. The British public isn't furious anymore. They're simply exhausted, tired of the interviews, tired of the confessions, tired of the carefully curated victim narrative that's worn thin with every new media deal. What once felt brave now feels exhausting. What once seemed honest now comes off rehearsed. Even those who once defended him, who rallied behind his break from royal constraints, are slowly backing away, not in anger, but in disinterest. And that's the part that stings the most. Because scandal can be survived, outrage fades, but public boredom, that's irreversible. The media may still run stories with his name in bold, but the audience tune out. He's gone from headline to background noise, from captivating to cringe-worthy. His every move is perceived as just another attempt to stay relevant, and that desperation has started to show. The prince who once had the nation's heart now barely holds its attention. And in the brutal world of public perception, that's not just rejection, it's erasure. In the end, it wasn't the interviews, the memoir, or even the Netflix deals that cost Prince Harry his standing. It was the slow, steady erosion of something far more fragile, public respect. He didn't just walk away from the institution. He walked away from the people who once saw themselves in him, who believed in him, who watched him grow up and wanted him to win. For a while, they forgave the missteps. They chalked it up to pain, to grief, to growing up under a microscope. But now, the sympathy well has run dry. Every new appearance feels like another attempt to rewrite a narrative that no longer resonates. Every high-profile moment, another reminder of how far he's drifted from the boy who once made Britain proud. Because this isn't just a story of a prince who left. It's the story of a prince who kept talking, long after the country stopped listening. And when a royal loses the crowd, he doesn't just lose applause. He loses purpose. Tradition may be unbending, but public loyalty is not. The monarchy has moved on. The people have moved on. And now, Harry is left standing in a kingdom that no longer sees him as part of it. Once, he was the heart of a modern monarchy. Today, he's the cautionary tale. The prince who had everything and walked away from it all.